As far as that part about uh, ISFPs, composers dropping out of school early because school offers little that is of interest to them or challenges their special talents. Um, I graduated from high school, but I did drop out of college, and I could talk for a very long time on just the subject of you know how badly the school system is set up. But I'm not going to do that right now. Just to say, in the context of this, relating the composer description to my own life, that my experience with college um, was, exactly in a nutshell the problem with the school system in that very thing that I just read to you about, not challenging my special talents. And that's true of everybody of all types in a sense, in that the focus is wrong in terms of in not allowing people enough specialization in what they actually care about, what they really want to pursue in life. This attitude that you have to have this so-called well-rounded education and all these things, on a simple basic level, it's false. But yet there's a lot of people who believe it to be true, and those people tend to be the ones who are in charge. And thus, they structure things in a way that dooms a great percentage of people to fail because they are never going to be able to learn the way that those people want them to learn. I read an article online that was actually addressing the subject because it said something along the lines of, estimated somewhere around 35% or 35, 40, somewhere in that range percent of all students in school, in at least, up through high school, are artisan types, are SPs, and yet less than 5% of the teachers are. And that's a pretty, staggering difference there, in which, but in contrast to that, um, somewhere probably in the 10 to 15% range of students, are idealists, and maybe even less than that are rationals. Um, and yet, a larger percentage of teachers actually are represented in those two groups than artisan teachers. Actually, it's the smallest group of teachers. The guardians have the most, which is true in a lot of areas, of course, in most areas of authority in society. But that the artisans actually have the least representation among teachers, and even less than that among administrators. The people that are the actual decision makers for when it comes to curriculum, it's probably less than 1%. And so it's not too surprising that with that setup, you're not going to have school and classes that are set up to appeal to uh, the artisan students, because the people that are setting things up simply don't understand them, and in a lot of cases don't really try to. I think in the case of the idealist teachers and administrators, they actually make an effort. At least, I mean, I know I'm being very general here because obviously there's a whole lot of variation, in individuals in terms of the effort they make. And I'm not making a blanket statement that all guardian teachers or administrators have no interest in, learning how students best learn, and how they can be helped. Obviously, there's a lot that do, but they, by their very nature, this whole subject we're discussing, are sort of at a disadvantage to figuring that out, because their basic instinct is to try to teach people to conform to the way that they think things should be. So by nature, they're, not the type that seeks out finding ways to do things differently. They're, if sort of hardwired to try to keep doing things the same. So it kind of falls upon the other types to do something different. But anyway, like I said, I could talk about that for a long time, but I'm not going to spend the entirety of this on that. I just wanted to relate that part about dropping out of school. I didn't drop out of high school. I did finish high school, but it was one of those things where it was like I had to endure it rather than than accomplish something. And I actually look at it here's when you go back to my cynical side, that if you my diploma technically says that I graduated with advanced honors, and that has a very prestigious sound to it. But basically what it means is over the course of my time in high school, I completed with a passing grade 5 classes that were classified as honors classes. 3 of those were English classes, in which the quote-unquote honors version basically gave you more work than the regular version, and maybe a little bit more in terms of like projects or essays and stuff. In terms of the actual subjects covered, it was almost exactly the same, and it was just a matter of the approach was deemed to be, I guess, more towards what college would cover, but not even a whole lot that. And then the 4th one was U.S. history, my junior year, that I took the honors version. Not even really sure what the difference is between that and the regular class for that. From what I could gather, not a whole lot. And then the 5th class was the biggest joke, because that was only a semester, and it was a class where your grade was twofold. One was an individual project that you chose and got approved by the teacher, and 2, completing a certain amount of community service. So basically that class was a joke. So by completing those 5 classes, my diploma then was attached with the seal of the Advanced Honors Program. So once again, for people that care about status symbols, that is an accomplishment. For somebody like me, it's a joke. So when you consider that I graduated with advanced honors, yet I was in the bottom half of my class, and you wouldn't think that those two things would jive with each other, and they don't. But that's the way, again, how school systems are set up, is that they don't have to make any sense, because it's not about making sense, it's about conforming. And anyway, I'm going to cut myself off before I go off on any more of a rant on that, but and I'll move on to the next topic here.